if we hate cheating so much, let's name some names. Plus, CT's mini redemption. Turbo is everyone's alpha, just like he likes. Will has some Will moments. Put some respect on my girl Jonna's name, and a draft that is supposed to be permanent, but probably isn't going to be. It's the Challenge 41 Vets and New Threats Episode 9 recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow Challenge lovers? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future. If it's happening in the Challenge universe, we are here to document it. I am your host and mostly dedicated Challenge Historian, Jacob Hollaball. Thank you so very much for being here with me today to dive into Episode 9 of Season 41, Vets and New Threats. We are officially in the back half of the season, and we are officially back here on the mic on Challenge Historian. I missed another week after 1 week before that, saying I wouldn't do that again, and now here we were, and we did. And not going to get into much about that. Life is just, it can be difficult sometimes, and being here and doing this show is a fun relief and a fun thing to do on Wednesday nights or whenever we are able to do it. So I'm glad to be here this week. I'm glad you are still tuning in. Thank you for whatever grace you can offer in missing an episode here or there. But we're back for tonight, and honestly, probably should just go back and cover Episode 8, because Episode 9 was a little bit of a snooze fest, but we will still get into all of it. Obviously, there's a big draft at the end, and we love a draft here, so there's plenty worth talking about. Let's dive in. Episode 9, Season 41. Here we go. Let's talk the opening of the episode and everything pre-daily challenge, and there's really only a couple of things to talk about. One of them, actually, no, I was about to say one obvious thing that happened and another not as obvious thing that happened, and that's incorrect. Both major storylines from the opening portion of the episode were very obvious that they were going to happen and have been, if not the whole season, certainly in the recent episodes of the season. The first of those things is that everybody wants Turbo as their partner, and this is as much a, compliment to Turbo, and not that he's just, he's always been, obviously, he won his rookie season on one of the hardest finals ever. We talk about it all the time. He's obviously a great, great competitor, has been every single season he's ever been on, but, different mixtures of vet men casts, he would not be this far above and beyond everyone else. He would not be thirsted over as a partner, option for a partner by all of the rookie women in this way, if there was a little bit of a different mix of other vet men around him. This is as much an indictment on who else is left as it is a compliment to Turbo, who would be near the top of top picks in most seasons, but you would have to think through who he is aligned with, how he works as a partner, the communication, the possibility that he can just get in a fight with anyone over some loyalty bullshit, or sometimes not bullshit, but sometimes bullshit. And, all that would be a factor in, and none of that matters here, because it's just like, that's the only guy that could win a final, okay? Of the vet men that are left, that guy can win a final. The rest of them can't. Probably not, with respect to the rest of the vet men, who I would love to see. All of them I would be rooting for. It'd be fun to see them win a final. But, so everyone wants him. And Turbo, in turn, I wonder how long it's been happening. Maybe this was the only time, and it doesn't really end up mattering at all, but is out there, like, he always does the honor thing, and he really lives by it. We know that honor and pride and just a code means a lot to him, and he is like, I want good people in the final. I don't just talk the talk. I don't just talk shit to CT about not being good, et cetera, et cetera. I want good people because I want to beat good people in the final, and that's awesome. And so he's like, the only good people left are the threats. And so, hey, Cedric, Jeremy, we see him make that deal with Cedric and mention Jeremy by name. Like, those are the top two guys, I think, on there. Like, let's all run this final together. Let's help each other get there. And, of course, all of the rookie women are, dying to be in partnerships with him, as we see in the Daily Challenge, because they want him as their partner. And so we see this Sydney Turbo connection. So that's thing number one. And that makes sense. That it wasn't as obvious at the beginning of the season. There was a few others. If there was some different people still around of the vet men, maybe this would be slightly different. But Turbo stands above. The second one, very obviously was going to happen, because if they're on a season together, it's probably going to happen. We saw it happen when they were just on a season together on All Stars. Ashley and Aneesa, they have to go at it. And Ashley is the pot stirrer this time. Ashley is the one, making this argument flare up, making this feud flare up, throwing the commentary around. I can't even win. What would you make you think you win? It's very fun. It's all, it is mean, certainly. The athletics comment is just vicious and very mean, certainly. And it also makes me laugh, obviously, because, this is the type of being mean to each other that I feel like we're all comfortable with. And it's Ashley and Aneesa, and they've been plenty mean to each other and plenty of other people in the time. So I'm not going to get bent out of shape about a little argument match over this. And I wouldn't say Ashley wins the argument. I wouldn't say Aneesa wins the argument. I think, these are two longtime vets of this show, and they gave us something worthwhile, entertaining, a nice little argument. Would I say it goes anywhere near either of their top 5, top 10, top whatever arguments and little spats they've had with different people in challenge history, in their challenge history? No, I wouldn't. But it was still nice. It was still fun. It's from an entertainment standpoint. And I think they both did good. Like, Aneesa stood up for herself, as she should, and if we're just taking it outside of the world of the challenge and talking about like better perspectives on life and everything else, like, Aneesa would be the winner here of like, I want to rock with that perspective. Let's have some self-confidence. Let's believe in ourselves. Let's be respectful, the whole thing. But this is the challenge, as as Nani so eloquently says a couple times in this episode. And so, that doesn't mean you win in the challenge. And so I think it was a stalemate, and I appreciate both of their efforts in providing some drama, providing some entertainment. Then we have a daily challenge, and it's the mini final. We knew this. We heard last week they were going to do the mini final, and that was going to set up the draft. We knew what was coming, all ready for it. And we knew we didn't necessarily know it was going to happen here, but we knew from the original trailer that had the moment of TJ saying, I hate cheaters more than quitters. And so we knew at some point this season someone was going to do some cheating. And so I got very excited. I love a mini final. And just to break that down first, I thought this one was a great one. A really, it wasn't. Was it 6 miles? I don't know. They said 6 miles, 7,000 feet of elevation. It very well might have been. I do not know the answer to that. But if that's true, very much a very difficult test. Nice little mix of a couple memory, math, puzzle combos in there. I liked everything about it. So that's that. But then we get to the moment where we realize some people have cheated. And it's interesting what they've cheated on. The food, as always, is, we expect that to be one of the hardest parts. Interesting twist here. Can you just eat a couple full onions? It is, I think, a fascinating choice for them. I personally don't need to see people throw up over and over. I like the idea of the challenge of like eating gross things more than like the visual, this is going to be funny because all of them are going to throw up and it's going to be so miserable and horrifying, all of that. I like the idea of like, can you mentally get over this hurdle? That part of eating has always been interesting to me. And so this was a really good one of like, it's not even some gross, disgusting bull testicle, whatever, but it is going to be really difficult, like physically difficult to just chew on a full onion and get that thing down, and then a pepper on top of it and garlic, whatever else. Like, it's just going to drive your senses. Your head is going to be on fire. It's going to be all your sinuses are just on 120%. And so I found that interesting. And then we see people are cheating, and I'm getting all excited. All right, this is the moment. This is the cheating moment everyone's been waiting for. And we get to the end, and they're just like, a bunch of people cheated and no one will say who, and so we'll just scrap it. What are the cameras for? What are all of the cameras for? First and foremost, we know, you showed us a little of it. We know Dee cheated, and we know eventually, because they had discovered that everyone else cheated, that Jonna and Aneesa and Tay, at least Jonna, but I'm pretty sure Aneesa and Tay too, like they show us those two being like, well, screw it. Jonna did it, like, we'll do it. We'll just leave too. So you can DQ them, and you have all those cameras up there, and the people, like, how maybe it's that difficult to decipher. Maybe they were that good at like wall over the vomit bucket. You drop it under the bucket and then you put the bucket on top of it. And then eventually next time you pick the bucket up, you kind of just kick to the side and it's in so much dirt you can't tell. I don't know. Or maybe there wasn't as much evidence as we saw and it was only a couple people, but then it would be like, well, then it's even easier to figure out. Or maybe it truly was like, hey, of the 24 people that are left, 15 of them, threw something to the side or had something left on their plates. That could be the case. Maybe that then it's like, well, then how are we even figure this out? But I was so disappointed that it wasn't like these people cheated and so they're DQ'd and everyone else like moves up in position and gets points. Because that would have had a dramatic effect. And doing the just no points are given for this has a dramatic effect later. It really, it's mainly one person, Will. We'll talk about it later, that is like really, really impacted by this. Maybe for the better in the end. We don't know that for sure, but it does affect who his partner ends up being. Which technically then means Aviv and Olivia and Jeremy, obviously directly affected by that too. But we'll get to that later. But I just couldn't believe that they're like, it's cheating. Like, look, come on, we got all these cameras, figure it out. It does bring me to the point, though, we've talked about it a little bit before, and this really brings to a head the eating challenges in general. There's already so much cheating with a little more quotes or asterisks on it that goes on in eating challenges because there is the strategy of you're allowed to puke. So if you just put it in your mouth and then bend over the thing and then puke / just kind of spit a bunch, what's allowed, what's not allowed. When someone like CT, like even in this episode we see when he's just chomping and chomping and chomping and going crazy on that thing and it's just flying everywhere. It's like, well, does he have to pick up all those little bits of peppers that are flying out? Because the way he eats is like purposely spilling a whole bunch of it, and there's all these moves that all the vets have done forever and just make yourself throw up. Just literally swallow it whole, stick your fingers in your throat inside of the thing and make yourself throw up. That's a strategy. And so it's always been this thing of like, well, the eating challenges are, it's rare when they do the clean the plate, show us your mouth, not allowed to throw up. Like, I think they did that. My memory's not even good enough to come up on the spot right now as I try to think of, did they ever do that originally? There's the show you your mouth portion, but like the throwing up's pretty much always been allowed because that's what they want. So it's just really hard to do, but I feel like there was a way to, decipher the cameras and figure out who cheated and who didn't. But as for performances, we can still judge and make some little assessments off of who performed well and who didn't. Cheating be damned. You still had to run up that mountain, and some of the people we feel pretty good. Like Turbo and CT did not cheat. Those two ate it. Those two have no problem. Huge advantage for the both of them as far as eating goes if they were into a final at any point or if eating comes up again. So Turbo for sure just proved his spot in this game. Clear favorite on the men's side if he was in a final as far as who would perform the best. CT proved that something I've been thinking about and didn't get to say last week because we didn't do episode 8. So let me say it here. They're in this house for a long time. CT came in very overweight for him and very out of shape for him. And that was showing up in the endurance portion and in the ability to climb things and everything else. They're in this house for a long time, okay? And CT is one of the best athletes I've ever seen that isn't like an actual, like a, professional athlete or whatever. Just like natural, like holy shit. The athleticism inside of that man that has come out many, many times over the years. It's still there. And they're in that house long enough with that treadmill and with that pool. And a guy like him that's kind of vacillated weight the way he has, that has that amount of athleticism, that has that amount of strength still underneath that extra layer he's kind of added on over top. You give that man another month until you actually have to run this final, which is like they're there for a couple months filming. We're halfway through. They got 3-4 weeks. That man can lose 25 pounds in 3 to 4 weeks. I'm just saying, if he puts himself to it, and he puts in the work, like there's a way, not that he's going to show up and like, oh, suddenly he's like thin, lean, jacked CT all in like the best shape he's ever been in. No, but 3 weeks from the moment this takes place, could CT have lost 15 pounds and like be perfectly suitable to run a final and dominate the eating in the puzzles in the carrying shit and be able to just jog the whole time and like suddenly be in contention again? Yes, I believe that is possible. and I think that's possible for him. So we'll see. Back to this episode. That was my entire recap of episode 8. I will also say that's really shitty for Derek Chavez. So that's a tough one for him. There you go. Episode 8 recapped in the middle of episodes 9 recap. Theo also get a little redemption, even on the swollen knee, showing like, hey, I can still run a little bit here. And then Sydney and Aviv absolutely crushing it. Interesting choice by Sydney to just tell everyone the combination lock, but ultimately she only cares that she's beating the other couple women that she needs to beat to maintain her spot. So I get it. On the bad side, it's not bad that Jeremy got 5th overall for the men. That's not bad out of 12, but it is a little like you dominated the opening run, and it seemed like you did fine on the puzzles. And was it just the eating? Was that slow here? I don't know. And then Leroy. I said it the last time we convened. I'll say it again. My man's there to pick up checks. He's been there a lot of times. He's put in a lot of seasons. His checks per episode are a little bit bigger than a lot of the other people, for sure. I would assume. I think we know that's pretty much how it works. Time of service matters here, and he's just there to be there as long as he can and cash those checks. He ain't that worried about trying to win this whole thing, trying to win much of anything. And I still love him, but yeah, tough look getting last place there. And then we're at the house, but we have a draft. We're just going to talk about the draft because then the entire portion of the house is just posturing. Essentially, they have a dinner. Will has his moments at dinner. He rightfully, we'll get to him here as part of the draft, is rightfully upset because he is the one most directly affected by the challenge was scrapped, and I would have elevated my position and got to pick the person I want, and now I don't get to, et cetera, et cetera. But all the posturing and everything, it's just whatever. Well, let's just talk about the draft, and let's go through the draft pick by pick and discuss. So Michaela ends up with the first overall pick, and she should have picked Jeremy, I think. She picked Cedric. I think Cedric deserves to be to probably have been the second pick-ish, maybe, of the rookie threats that are left. Rookie threat. Wow. Look at me being nice enough to even throw threats in there, not just rookies. Of the rookie guys left. But I think the pick's still Jeremy. I don't see, unless Cedric is so much more, he's so loved, it seems, in the house. Like, who wouldn't love this guy? He's so lovable. He's so great. And maybe it's like he's good enough competitor to be in that level with Jeremy, and he won't be quite the target that maybe Jeremy is, or he's better connected and will have less votes and avoid eliminations. I'm guessing that was what Michaela is going with here. But ultimately, I think, and again, maybe it was just this mini final where it's like, hey man, he beat, Jeremy didn't win this one. He got 5th. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But I would have went with Jeremy if I was Michaela. And yeah, I think I don't think it's like some whore buying, like, how could you pick by any means? Again, put some respect on Cedric. I would have picked Jeremy if I was her. But then Jeremy gets to make his pick because he isn't immediately taken, which I also thought it would just be kind of funny from a draft standpoint if it just kept being, I pick the person that's standing next to me, and so they don't get to pick now, and we skip over them. But it wasn't exactly that. It was close to that at different times. Jeremy gets to pick then because, again, he wins the tiebreaker that really Will should have been picking before him, and we know Will wanted to pick Aviv and thought maybe I'm going to win the tiebreaker, even though I shouldn't have, because those points should have counted and I didn't cheat and I should have been able to pick first. And he's right. He should be pissed. I enjoyed him speaking up at the dinner. I thought he could have been more boisterous about it. Like he just kind of was like, cheating's not cool. I feel like he could have been like, I got screwed, okay? Like, most of you don't give a shit because most of you, this doesn't matter. You're going to get picked by someone else and you're going to be picked last and you've kind of checked out of the game. But there was a few of us really battling there at the top, and I didn't cheat, and I did what I needed to do to elevate my status, and now I don't get to pick the partner that I necessarily want. I thought he could have actually gone in on everyone, and I feel that middle ground. I don't know, but then we get him and Nani. The whole thing is good Will performance. I appreciate Will. I appreciate all the moments Will has. He's providing us good stuff. But Jeremy gets to pick first, and he picks Aviv over Olivia, which I think were the options he had. I think, he's been so firmly working against Olivia that I'm just guessing that he was like, if we team up, it turns into both of our alliances are, what, you guys just get to walk to the final? No, and maybe you're on the bottom suddenly by everyone. I don't think that would have happened, but it doesn't make alliance sense, certainly, and Aviv does. And Aviv and Olivia, it would be in the argument for just in a vacuum, which one are you picking for a final right now? Aviv's one. She's much older, but she's in fantastic shape. She's ready. She's coming off a season. It's not like this is her first season back in forever. It's the second one, so she's got a little reps back under her. So it makes sense, but it's probably good. If I'm Jeremy, I'm kind of like, I think I want to see if we can just be completely safe by being the leaders of two different sides of alliance coming together and being the two best in here potentially. But again, I would have picked maybe differently, but I don't think he picked wrong by any means. Olivia then gets to go. She has the decision Will over Leo. I think that's a really hard call. I appreciate her breakdown of it. I probably go Leo. But it's hard because the only reason to not pick Will if you're her in that instance is like, okay, so but he does, we've seen him over relationships, once game, once social, have breakdowns and get in his feelings and not crash. Well, the one time was kind of a crash out. This episode again fully justified. No crash out here, but that would be the only thing against him is like, I don't know if like temperament wise, what if he gets frustrated in a final and suddenly my partner is just like in the worst attitude, worst energy, kind of gives up, whatever. But like Leo has also in a different way, like rubbed people's feathers a little bit, been a little full of himself and not always backed it up. There's like enough there that it's like, this isn't a slam dunk. Like there's this one thing holding me back against Will. And this person doesn't offer anything of that nature. But, I could see the argument for Leo. It kind of seems like the ringleader to some degree. But I think the read's correct on Olivia's part. I think Will's probably the best pick here. And it's the first pick that I was like, I think that's the pick I would have made if I was in her shoes. The next pick is the obvious pick, the most obvious pick. Sydney gets to pick the first vet man and Turbo off the board. She wins the Turbo lottery. She it's not I shouldn't say lottery because she won. She won her way to this position in choice, and they are certainly a dynamic duo. Aneesa then gets to pick Jake. I think she picks him because he's down to be her partner, and we see like they have a fun and good relationship. So good choice, smart choice. Everyone left like Leo and Justin in a vacuum. I would pick before Jake probably, but we still like don't exactly have the most data to go off of here of like who's actually going to be the best partner and the best at the most things, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, the one that wants to work with you and is down and you guys have a good banter and a, like good communication, everything. Of course, good pick by her. Nani then gets picked, and I just got to say, well, it makes sense, but it just put this on Nani. She is chosen. There's 3 options left, and the other 2 options are both 2-time champions, and Nani gets picked. So, yes, that's a little more credit to where she sits politically, socially in this game, and where she maybe is still on, like, the ability to compete really at a high level or run at a high level in this game. And, one of those 2 champions, Ashley, is openly out here like, I can't win this game, so I don't know what anyone's doing here. So, but, there's reasons, but it's fun to just say Nani got picked over the 2-time champions. So just saying that. And then we get to the very end, and there's a couple weird choices, and I like that Derek's, just doing the professional thing, giving us in the confessional, like, I don't know where this came from. Well, it came from because it was the only option, Derek. That's where it came from. That's where you and D ended up. And we end up at the very end, Gabe and Jonna together. And I get that, yet again, it's like, what are they pulling from the confessionals, and can they get anything of Gabe being like upset, and they got to make like the last pick seem like, oh, this sucks, whatever. So it's a lot of that potentially, or it's all like completely valid. I don't know. But it is a little weird. Like, I know it's been weird for Jonna in the house. She comes in late. She's maybe not like, trained in the weeks and months leading up the way she would have for like knowingly going on an all-star season or what have you. I don't know. Didn't vibe with everyone because she wasn't there right at the start. The whole thing. Got it. Totally understand. She has won all-stars twice recently and performed very well in those finals. And as far as last pick, as far as we're the 2 left standing here, and so we have to work together, we're both last pick. Your option, if you're Gabe, in that scenario, the fact that you get a 2-time champ in Jonna who can rock puzzles and maybe can't eat, so that's an issue, but will never stop jogging. She's not the fastest runner in the world, but she will jog the entire time. She's got some endurance to her, and she's got recent wins. And so that's your option, that's who you get paired with, is a pretty damn good outcome when you're the last place person. And so I think he should be a little bit happier than he is. And I should be a little bit happier than I am about there having been a draft. But I'm not, because, and this is, I guess, a slight spoiler if you decided not to watch the midseason trailer that ended the episode, but we're halfway through the season, over halfway through. They gave us a midseason trailer. And guess what was in that midseason trailer? TJ announcing some bullshit about being able to switch partners. What are we doing? Now let's hand out some awards very, very quickly here. The 2 quotes of the episode. If I had to pick strictly from this episode, maybe we give it to Ashley as usual. Honey, I don't think I can come in first place, but you think you're going to come in first place? Why wouldn't I? Athletics? I'm in the best shape of my life. I can do anything I fucking want to. So Ashley and Aneesa, joint win if I have to give it to someone from this episode. But to pull another thing from the midseason trailer, sorry again if you didn't watch it and don't want to know anything about it, but this one isn't a spoiler. It's what someone says, and it's my girl Nany. And hell yes, Nany. Nany is there. She is deserving now, like living up to why she is. She's a challenge legend for sure. Or an icon, whatever the proper word is. Like, she is a deserving face of the franchise, challenge staple that's been around forever, representative of the challenge, all the different ways you want to say, because in that midseason trailer, we get her getting in. I don't even know whose face it was in. Maybe Michaela, maybe Dee, the way they cut it, like, it was kind of hard to tell, like, which is this actually the same scene, et cetera, et cetera. But Nany yelling and finger pointing, this isn't Survivor, this isn't Big Brother, this is the challenge, honey. Fuck yeah, Nany. Hell yes. Like, standing up for the show, standing up for this game's different, this game's harder, this game's better, all of it. So if I could give it to a midseason trailer quote, she would get the quote of the week. But yeah, Ashley and Aneesa can share it. The best moment, Ashley and Aneesa's, argument for sure. All of Sydney's confessionals continue to be great. I'm just loving I'm the super cocky and confident in the confessionals, and sometimes in person too. Turbo and CT, after CT crosses the finish line and Turbo does the little CPR on him, and they seem to be all good together again. CT asking Tay to the prom dance, aka being partners, is really fun. But the winner's Nany because of that moment in the trailer, and it just got me really excited that someone was standing up for the show in that way. And just we got Nany back, dude. Like, Nany's having a great episode, great couple of episodes, great season. So great, Nany back, which is why Nany's also the MVP of this episode, which she is very prevalent in the episode. It's not just because she says this isn't Survivor, this isn't Big Brother, this is the challenge, honey, in the trailer. She will probably win best quote for that in whatever episode that actually happens in. But Sydney, Turbo, CT, they get some votes here for MVP, but tough episode to pick one. And so we're just going to Nany's just going to win all the awards. Last but not least, we have our power rankings, and they're very different because the last time we did the power rankings, we had men on one side, women on the other side, and we ranked them as such. And now we have permanent teams, or again, permanent, semi-permanent, probably only for like 3 episodes. Let's be real, permanent until people can start switching. But for now, we're gonna respect. We're not, I don't know. I would normally say, I would have had the expectation that I don't believe you necessarily, TJ, in challenge, that these are going to be, but like to even put it in the midseason trailer and just be like, no, we're just going to tell you immediately, moments after we've had the draft, that like, that's not going to be the case. You could have at least let me dream for a couple of episodes, but power rankings nonetheless, all of them, all 12, top 12, everyone gets ranked here, okay? Aviv and Jeremy, they're coming in the top. I clearly think Jeremy's got a real shot to just dust people in the final. He and Aviv, I think they're going to be in an elimination for sure. And so that was the only tricky part about putting them top. It was really debating between the three teams at the top: Aviv and Jeremy, Olivia, Will, Turbo, and Sydney. Top picks across the board, top performers so far this season across the board, top teams for sure. Was really trying to think over like who's going to face more eliminations in combination with who do I think stays partners, in combination with if these people all ran a final right now, how do I think they would do? And it was really hard. We're splitting hairs, but I'm giving Aviv and Jeremy the top spot for now. And I'm giving Olivia and Will second for now, and Turbo and Sydney third for now. mainly, I wanted to put Turbo and Sydney first. I do think they will be the most obvious, like, they're the threat that we got to put into elimination to get out of here by the 9 teams that fall under them, even above Olivia and Will and Aviva and Jeremy. And I think that Turbo is, if there's any ability for someone to win their way to choosing a new partner or whatever they got to do to be able to choose a new partner later, or I forget what TJ calls it in the trailer, make a play for a partner, whatever it is, make a vote, something. Try to get a new partner. Turbo's going to be, the guy. So this team also has the highest potential, I think, to not be a team at some point in the future. Nany and Justin, I'm putting in 4th. I like this team. I think they can do really well. I just like that team. I think they're the dark horse. I think they're the team that's going to be, when you look at this, is like, I felt really good. It was immediate 4th for me. And I don't know that everyone else would like look at all the teams and say immediate 4th. And maybe even I kind of draw the line after them. I almost got to say like the 4 teams at the top. Michaela and Cedric 5th, first pick of the draft. You got to still be top 5. Good performers both all season long. I can't have them any lower than that. Certainly. Ashley and Leo 6th. Even if she says she can't win, Leo's performed decent. Ashley still is like, she is either great in an elimination or god awful in an elimination. She kind of is just in a season in general, and this one definitely is smelling more like the god awful side, so that's not a good sign. But like, she still got something, and Leo's good. And the rest of these teams from 6 to 12, it's like, it's not like any of them have sterling resumes here. So I put them there. It's kind of a crapshoot from here on out. I put Derek and D 7th. Derek's niece makes me super duper nervous. Sure, for still. I didn't realize how low D had performed as far as the points and everything across the season, but they're still, I don't know. They're on opposite sides of the house. This is going to be really hard. Every time as I go through every one of these teams, it's just going to be me tearing them down, not being able to lift any of these ones up. Jonna and Gabe, again, I think they could actually be a good pair in a final if, they're allowed to do the thing like, oh, we have to carry stuff for this checkpoint. Like, is one person allowed to carry all of it? Great, Gabe, carry all of it. Is one person able to do the puzzle by themselves and there's never a situation where each of us have to do a puzzle independently? Great, I'll do all the puzzles. Like, I think they could actually be good. I probably should have put them at 6th. I think I retroactively will say they're 6th. They're above Ashley and Leo and Derek and D. CT and Tay in 9th. I think of anyone outside of the top 5, they would be the darkest of dark horses, but still in consideration for, like, again, what I said about CT earlier. Like, what if this man spends the next 3 weeks just shedding 10, 15 pounds, just enough to be able to jog out that entire final? We've seen some good spunk out of Tay, 2 elimination wins. He can eat and do puzzles. She can definitely keep up with his current running pace. They could. There we go. I said something good about someone. Still in 9th. Aneesa and Jake 10th. Leroy and America 11th. Theo and Adrienne 12. Theo's knee combined with lack of enthusiasm for wanting to be Adrienne's partner definitely put them at the bottom for me. But it's really hard to pick between them. Leroy and America, I would like as like they're not layups or something, but like Leroy's kind of acting like I'm fine being a layup. I would just like to stay around. Like, layups get to stay till the end, right? And I get to be in every episode and cash all those checks. Please and thank you. So that's your power rankings. That's your episode 9, although there was a little episode 8 mixed in there. And that's your podcast. So thank you again for being here, for tuning in, especially given that we've missed a couple weeks here. Coming back, tuning back in, super duper appreciate it. Likes, follows, all that good stuff. I would normally say hit me up on Instagram. There's a bunch of messages on there that I haven't responded to because I basically haven't been on it. So that's my bad. Sorry to those. I'll go back and respond to them in time. A few of you are used to it. A few of you have gotten the response a month later from me, and then it's like 3 paragraphs and like here's my dissertation on that question that you asked or whatever you wanted to talk about. So maybe some of those are coming in your future. But I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. We will talk again next week. Peace.